Hearing the words is faithful, it felt like a voice whispering, I haven't left you, even when you can't feel me, because he's always there. He's always around us.
Can't see grace for what it is until you need it most. God feels so close to us in those moments.
The third hour is here. Holy Spirit appear. Guide us in all
kind of, to me, proves like that God has knitted us together, like to glorify Him. Literally, with every breath that we take, even without us knowing it, we are glorifying God.
And glorify the risen Lord and King.
You want to have a closer relationship with Jesus, trying to be the best person you can be each and every day. That glorifies Him.
Holy Spirit, do your thing. We might not know how, but we ain't gonna feel.
Like, that is God sending us. That is how He feels for us. That is how He cares for us.
Move us today, Holy Spirit, come and fill this place. Move us today, Holy Spirit, come and fill this place.
Hey guys, before we get into this episode, I just wanted to let you know that if you want to check out any of the songs that we talk about today, the new Christian music songs for the week, or our hidden gems, as well as the Winter Jam 26 preview, go over to the Third Hour Collection on Spotify, and the new songs will be updated weekly every Friday.
Hey everyone, thank y'all so much again for joining us on this podcast, whether you're listening or watching. Greatly appreciate you all, and we appreciate all the artists and bands that have reached out to us. We thank you guys for sharing the clips of us, and that's what we're trying to do, is to promote you all, to give your songs some lift and a platform to get people to be able to realize, hey, there's some good music out there that I don't know about, and the Third Hour is bringing it to me. So thank you guys for your support. Continue to share and like, and we're going to continue to try to bring you new music reviews every week. So without further ado, I will kick it straight over to Mariah and let her kick tonight's podcast episode off with what hit you this week, Mariah. What was your top song that
The presence of God is to just start expressing gratitude, and this song does it, and it doesn't leave anything out. We've got a roof, we've got a bed, groceries. It goes through all the little things that we take for granted. He talks about all of it and reminds us to be thankful for those things.
I mean, I love Forrest for that reason. I feel like he's so good at making people mindful. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, sometimes, preachers and even artists and stuff want to get super deep, but it's like, man, this is just a relationship with God, and He is so good to you. You know what I mean? And yeah, like you were saying, it's just, He on every little thing. Let's be thankful for that. When you're spot on. If you can make your mind have that gratitude towards God and stuff, it really shifts and shapes everything. I know personally there's been some stuff I've been going through, and when I bring it back and just realize just how blessed I am, what God's already did for me and things. It's like, it just shifts the atmosphere. It just changes things. You stop seeing the perspective from the old fleshly side, because that old dead man's always trying to get back up and take control again. But you begin to be, grateful and begin to be thankful and stuff. And it changes your perspective, and you start seeing things the way it is. So, yeah, great song to kick things off with this week. Cameron, what'd you think about it?
Yeah, I like it too. And I mean, y'all have really just said a lot of great things about it already, just kind of the state of mind that it kind of puts you in. And I think for someone too that in the Christian music world, like, he's probably the most popular one right now, right? And I think in a way it's even a song just to himself, to remind himself that,
Yep.
Yes, I'm just pretty much sold out this whole tour in 30 minutes of my tickets dropping and all this stuff. I need, in a way, I feel like it's him just being thankful and humbling himself, and trying to get himself in that mindset. And I'm sure with anybody that's in that world of being a celebrity, artist, or even like an actor or anything. I think you need to have, a lot of those moments to where you just take a second, meditate on, all that God's given you, and just know, like, not to let pride, get ahead of you. I do think, I know it's not necessarily on the point of the song, but since we are, Christian music podcast, we did drop the tour dates last week. I will just like throw out there, and we talked about it a little bit beforehand. The tour came out last week. Within maybe, like I said, 30 minutes of the pre-sale, like 90% of the tickets were bought. I know there, and we've talked about this before, the dialogue around Forrest, like sometimes he gets a bad rap because, well, his ticket prices are so high, and then we can't get in there to see him, all this stuff. And so I just, not too in detail, but I just wanted to briefly mention that, it's more of a Ticketmaster problem, and we see it with, we talked about before the podcast, there's country artists right now that are going through the same thing, these bots, and people are just buying up all these tickets during pre-sale. And I think the original ticket price was like $50 or something, $59 for Forrest Frank tickets, which is reasonable, very reasonable. And they just got bought up, and now they're getting resold at so many hundreds of dollars. And it just, for a Christian music artist, more so than maybe some of the other genres, they really try to attack him because they just like, oh, he's using God's word to just make money. And so I know we've spoke about it before, but I always like to just shed a little bit of light on just that's not what's going on with the ticket sales and stuff. It's more of a Ticketmaster, Live Nation issue, more than it is like him trying to gouge for money, I guess.
I was going to say, to point out too, it's very good to shed light on it so that there's not, that judgment passed on them like that. But in the same vein, pass some judgment on to Ticketmaster and Live Nation and stuff, because they're not doing anything about it. Because like you were saying earlier, it benefits them because they're the ones making the money off the ticket sales and stuff. So when it gets reposted again and gets resold again, they're making more money off all those. So they have no problem with the bots buying up the stuff and people then turn around and resell them. And I think, Mariah, you said, you were on there trying to get tickets, and you could just watch whole sections just disappear, in a matter of like
literally
seconds.
All the lower sections, everything was just like 108, 109, they were graying out because literally everything was just being taken so quickly. I'm like, there's no way that there are that many actual people in here right now. Sure, like, of course there is a way because Forrest Frank is pretty big, but there was just in my human mind to think, I was like, it has to be bots. Like, it has to be bots in here buying these tickets up.
I was going to say, you're right, it could be people, but you know how you know that it wasn't? Because of how many resales you see. You know what I mean? Like, if that many fans are online to get the tickets that quick, you're not going to see that many tickets back for resale right after. You know what I mean? Because like you went on there to get the best ticket that you could. It's like, and then you found yourself just watching everything disappear. So it's like, that's how you know it's not fans buying it, because of how quick they just turned right back around and now they're reselling it for $500 or whatever. And it's disheartening that, but I guess that's greedy corporations, and they're out there just to make the money. They don't care that it's a Christian artist,
He did mention adding more shows, but I don't know if that's after this tour ends. I don't know what he has planned. I really do think he felt bad about the situation because he kind of caught wind of it going on the last time he was on tour. This time, obviously, a lot worse. So he did mention doing some other shows, but I don't know if that's just after this tour is over with, or if he's going to try to add more in and think of a different way to, get it out there. Whether it be like you had mentioned, like a lottery system, maybe like kind of like the Savannah Bananas do, or I know, like, listen to a podcast, they said some people will actually withhold a lot of tickets until it's like the week of the concert and sell them that way too, which I don't know. You could probably still have like a bot issue there. I don't know. People might not, though. They might not try to snatch them up if it's like that week, because it'd be hard to resell them, I guess.
Yep.
So maybe that could be a way to do it. I don't know. It's a problem that needs to be fixed.
That would probably be a great way to do it if you had a strong enough system that you knew you weren't going to crash the influx of like real people signing on and stuff. It's one thing for, you know what I'm saying? Like that could probably work. I wouldn't even do it a whole week out. Do it like 3 days before. Because people that's wanting to go, man, will clear their calendars. They'll be sure they're ready. and they'll jump on there and start get the tickets then,
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool to do.
I have to do something.
That's a good.
I hope.
Yeah.
What was you gonna say, Mariah, though?
I was going to say that Forrest actually has a little something extra to be thankful for because his wife actually had, I think it's their second baby. He announced it. It looks like it was today. He said, "Welcome to the world, Sonny Neil Frank. We love you more than you'll ever know," with some cute pictures of his new baby. So he announced it 5 hours ago. I don't know for sure when the baby was born, but congratulations to
That's
Forrest and his
awesome. Yes.
wife.
Congratulations. And right around Christmas time, I feel for the kid because he's
Yeah.
going to get those
Yeah.
combo presents. But what a blessing for them. I mean, that's an awesome gift to get, that as a child. All right, Cameron, what's your song? Your first song this week?
Yeah, I have a few different ones that I'd wrote down, and I apologize. I usually have like the bio for some of the artists, and which there's only like one or two that I would say that would probably warrant me like reading the bio because some of the other ones are so well known or we've had them on here before. But like I said, I had forgot to write down the bio. But I want to start off with an artist and one that I would have liked to have maybe read their bio, but it's Adoration Music, and the song is called Church Camp, right? So from what we know about them, they seem to be pretty local to us. I think out of maybe Boone, North Carolina. But this song, and we'll kind of talk about some of the, even like the music video and stuff, some of the cool stuff that went on with it. I love it though because it's one of those songs that almost bridge into like something that a kid would like, and then also something that as adults we can sing and worship to. And I love songs that can bridge that gap, that can sound in a way that they gravitate towards it, but also not so kid-like that maybe it's not, in our ballpark, of what we like.
Yep.
But this song is just super catchy. The chorus, it says, "Lord, be my shield, be my God, walk me through the darkest night." And I feel like, if my kid was listening to this, if they can get anything from any song, if they could take that and take that into their day at school or into, especially my oldest one, maybe into some, problems he's going to go through, especially going into like, here soon, you approaching, getting through middle school and into high school and all the problems that, come with that. And if you can keep that in your mind, Lord, be my shield, be my guide, walk me through the darkest night. I feel like it's a little prayer almost that you could just say to yourself. But yeah, I loved it. Like I said, it's by Adoration Music, Ricky Hilton and Ryan McPeak. And the video is unique, and I know Shawn can comment a little bit more on this.
As soon as I saw the video, when I saw the video,
right?
I saw it and I was like, man, I was like, they did that at Doe River Gorge. Like, I just knew because we had been there before. And what's so cool about it is that Doe River Gorge is like this big church camp, dude. And it's so awesome. And there's so many different things you can do there, man. They've got like this huge pool and things. It's got like this zip line that comes off the end of the pool. They got like these rock wall climbing stuff. They've got horses. I think they got paintball. They got like obstacle courses. They got like this parrot zoo. They've got all these cool things. And then several weekends, I think it's maybe about 4 weekends. It might be less than that. Out of the summer, they open it up to people that want to come. You can bring your, kids and stuff and pay to come down there for the Saturday or the Sunday or whatever, and just hang out all day and stuff. And, it's awesome. It's really cool to do that. But when I saw them on that train cart, whatever, and I was like, that's Doe River Gorge, man. And the song's called Church Camp. And so it was just so cool. And then to find out that they, are relatively close to us because, Boone's only a couple hours away from us. So, it was just cool all the way around. Great song. Seemed like they had a great time filming the video. The video looked fun in and of itself. Just everything, it was just a good song, and it's cool to know that was kind of filmed in our backyard per se, So.
And I said, that chorus is almost like a line for our kids, like a prayer they could take into their school day and the things they got going on. But I could say the same about us. I mean, that's something that we can also just take in their day. It's not. Kind of frame this in a way that, I don't have anything against like your slower worship music or anything like that. I mean, a lot of our hidden gems are some of those that really tug on your heartstrings. And I'm not opposed to having those going through my head throughout the day either, but it is nice to have this song like bouncing around in your head sometimes because it has a little bit of joy to it, right? And, it's just, I don't know, it just gets you going. Like you just want to start stomping your feet, and just just like they are in that music video, man. They're having a good time doing it. And when that song comes on, I feel like I'm having a good time listening to it.
Yeah, dude, that was a great song. And you were talking about having the kids join in and stuff. One of the songs that I really liked this week was the Running by Zoe. Is that how you say it? Zoe Worship, I guess.
I think so.
Or Zoe
Yeah,
Worship. I'm not
that's
for
it.
sure. Apologies to the artist if we got it wrong. But I'm playing that and jamming down to it. It's one of those songs that I played a couple times because I really enjoyed it. And just, I'm running to you, and it's like, Jesus, you're beautiful, And the next thing I know, my little boy Noah's, I hear him singing it. And he's singing the chorus. And I'm like, dude, that is awesome. And, it's probably the second time he's heard it by the time when he starts singing it, So just that one is a worship song, that's definitely not necessarily written from a kid's perspective, and not that church camp was either, but I'm just saying, like, it's a deep song, I feel like, worship wise. And it was great seeing him sing that. And because that's little seeds being planted in him, and he knows, hey, God, I need to be running to you, and so really, really enjoyed that. And so thankful that it touched his heart too. But now, what was your second song? I just wanted to touch on that because you were talking about how it kind of bridges the gap as a song a kid could take into.
Yeah, I love the way you bridge that into that, and that is it, right? Sometimes you can be playing these songs and you can kind of peek back and you can see them kind of jamming out to it and singing it. And we have a song later on towards the end that we're going to talk about that my youngest one, he's been in love with it. He's been singing and stuff, and I'll save that for later. But it is a beautiful moment, like. And that's one thing I love about what we're doing here, just selfishly, because I feel like sometimes with any music or any movie or anything, like once you listen to something over and over and over and over again, not that it takes away with how good the content is, like, like we love Gratitude, right? Like which I could probably listen to Gratitude by Brandon Lake every day, but the message is amazing. But sometimes you're like, okay, well, I want to go to something else. Not that that's bad. I've listened to it so many times, and us doing this every single week, it's really opened my eyes to a lot of the music that's out there, artists that we've never heard of, and the messaging. It's just something that I think that sometimes for me anyway, it catches me by surprise in a good way, and it's cool that your son was able to pick up on that, a song that you say maybe only heard 2 times. Well, it's also like a song that's only been out like a week, and like it already, like, it didn't take any outside influence. It didn't take like it getting popular and then him being like, oh, that song's popular, I like it. It wasn't that. It was truly the sound of it, the messaging of it.
Yep.
So I think that's cool. Now, with all that being said, this next artist that I want to talk about and the story behind it, he is a more popular artist, and we've talked about him on the podcast before. I think you, Shawn, had a song by him a few weeks ago, but it's Benjamin William Hastings, and he was with Josh Baldwin in Seattle, and I don't know if I want to call it like an EP or... You could almost call it like a single, but it's really what it is. It's like a little small 3-track thing that he released. But the first track is actually a testimony behind the story of the song for like the second track, if that makes sense. And then it leads on into the last track. And so just to get into it, Benjamin William Hastings, he wrote a song called Year to the Day, and it shares the backstory of an incident that happened, I think about a year ago, of course, with the song. I want to brush over it to a degree just because I want people to go and actually listen to him talk about it, because, it wasn't my situation. So listen to him talk about it, you can hear the pain in his voice, but also the relief and the thankfulness in his voice. And I think that's really like fruitful for people to go and listen to that. But just to give you an overview of it, his daughter was in an accident, and what thought to be maybe nothing major turned out to be something really serious that they thought that she might end up losing her life. And in a moment of, just pure desperation and pain and all that. He really was seeking God and praying, but something else also that he sent out to other prayer warriors what was going on. And so it mentions in the song, it says the boys were in Seattle. And so he sent his little group, or his little group's like Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake and all of them. He helps write songs for them. And so they were actually in Seattle the night that this tragedy and this incident was going on with Benjamin and his daughter. And they, I guess, throughout maybe their concert, they took a moment and prayed over him and his daughter and what was going on. And he talks about in the song how, he could just almost feel it in the room when they were praying. Like he just knew that people were praying. And really a line that sums it up, he even says at the end, he says, to sum it up, somebody prayed, somebody listened. And what looked to be a moment to where him and his wife could lose their daughter. And I'll mention too that the accident also included the wife. Like the wife was also hurt too, but in a different location. And so that's tough. But in a moment where they thought they might lose her, somebody prayed and somebody listened. I think God healed her, and he's still continuing to do a work in her life with healing. And I think it's just a beautiful moment, really, to hear him talk about it and to see the way that it bridges over into the next track, which is Evidence, which is a song that's been out before. And him and Josh Baldwin are doing it. And it's beautiful the way it bridges. But before, I do want to talk about Evidence like a little bit separately. But before I talk about that, I just want to kind of get y'all's thoughts on Year to the Day. The album's called The Boys Were in Seattle, or the little EP track thing, whatever. And so he's actually in the venue that they prayed over him, his family, and his girl. They were in the venue doing the song, and he even said it in the little testimony thing that he said, some of you guys may have been in this building for Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham. That was like a summer worship night, I think is what it was. He said, you all may have been in the building praying over me and my daughter, and maybe you didn't know, but this is how it all happened, or how it all worked out. And he was thanking them. And so the location of it, the story, the song, it really just tugs on your heart. But what do you guys think about that?
I didn't see the testimony part. I want to go back and watch that now, and had no idea that it was taking place in the building where it happened. But the song was so gripping when you start listening to it, and it just pulls you in. And I can only imagine, I've got my daughter and my son, and I can only imagine what he was going through. And wow, just what a song. Yeah, Cameron, you did a good job covering it. I think everybody needs to go and listen to it. I remember, this is kind of bad, I guess, but my wife was, we were driving down the road, and, she started to talk, and I was like, I want to hear this. I was like, let me finish listening to this, because she was doing something, so she wasn't listening to the music. I was listening to the music. I think she was actually probably working, and she started asking me something. I was like, I gotta listen to this. But it grips you and it pulls you in. And then she started listening to it, was the funny thing about it. And she got pulled into it too, It's like, you don't ever want to be a parent in that position and stuff, but what an encouragement it was too, to hear his story and to hear about God's faithfulness. And I absolutely loved how it rolled into Evidence. So that's a great song, that's been out, like you said, for quite some time, but to hear it live and to hear it, in context with what just happened, so encouraging.
You guys covered it really well. As a mom, I have a hard time listening and even watching movies, anything to do with something happening to your children. But that song, like you guys said, it drew me in, and I just I had to know. I had to keep listening. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can listen to this, but then I was like, I can't change it though. I need to know, what happens. And like you said, it was encouraging. It was a good song. I didn't realize all of that either, Cameron. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch that too. It's probably gonna make me cry. Probably gonna make all of us cry.
Yeah, I think anybody with kids like that watches that and just imagines, because the song talks about it, I think the exact words in the song talks about it was going to be like a routine thing. Like he did not think anything of it, and then it was like, bam, like she might not make it. And having kids, like you put yourself in that situation, I think when you listen to the song, and it really does. I don't know, it makes your heart sink for a second because you just don't know. Like, that could happen to any of us any day. It, it's a great, like you said, it's a great song, or a great ending to the way that how faithful God is, and also I think it kind of tells us that in times of desperation like that, like that's who we should turn to, and also seek the prayers of the community of believers around you as well. Like it's important. And like I said, he goes into that. I don't want to repeat myself, I guess, but just like I said, just go listen to it.
Go
And
listen to
and the
it.
song and the song Evidence, for me, you talked about Shawn, the way in the context of the story, it makes it even better. And it's a great song anyway. But man, for whatever reason, like this week, just listening to it, it just like how you were talking about Mariah with thankfulness or thankful. I can't remember the title for the Forrest Frank song.
Thankful.
Yeah, but how it just puts you in that mindset. That's how Evidence done me this week. I was just driving and sitting there listening to it. I think a lot of times I take for granted just things in my life, like the kids being healthy. Even just the kids, like, having conversations about God and enjoying, like I said, they enjoy listening to some Christian music and stuff, but they know about Jesus and um, they know about that. And so, like, that's something to be thankful for. Like, in a world that there's all kinds of things that are trying to pull them in other directions. And so, just thinking about that, thinking about the fact that I have a roof over my head, food on the table, I get so stressed out thinking about, like, the college work and stuff I'm doing. But it was not that long ago that I was in a job that was just full of so much darkness and negativity that, when I first left that and started finishing out my college stuff, it was like such an enjoyable time because I was so appreciative of the opportunity that I had. And I sometimes get lost in the stress so much that I forget to thank God just for the fact that I'm able to do it. Like, I would have never thought that I had that opportunity, or even to be on a podcast with you guys, talking about him, just looking at my life years ago. And so, like, looking back throughout my life, and I'm not trying to make it about me or anything, like, it's glory to him, but it's like, look at the evidence, like, all this stuff that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And,
You
cause I
see
don't,
that, like
I
the
don't
song
deserve
says, you
that.
see the evidence of his blessings all
Yes.
around you,
Yeah. It's just,
Touch back on the song from last week, that thank God, where would I be, without Jesus?
yeah. The
Remember,
Matthew
it's
West
like,
song.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
And
like,
yeah, exactly like that. And it makes you reflect, like I said, on all that you have, but then also self-reflect on like what he's like pulled you from. And it's so much that it just makes you reflect on that. For me, it just like broke me down as I was driving. Like, I started getting teary eyed and I was like, oh, it just like hit me all of a sudden. Like, I don't know. And of course the music side of things, it's beautiful. It's great. And a complete side note before you go on the next song, somewhat local news, the concert they hold in Elizabethton every year, they released the artist for it this week. It's Matthew West. Because we were talking, you mentioned that song, so it made me think of it. Matthew West, Megan Woods, and John Reddick, and Elizabethton, Tennessee. That'll be, I can't remember, sometime in the spring. But yeah, anyway, that was side note, but I thought about it. I wanted to go ahead and put that out there before I forgot about it.
So, Mariah, do you want to go with what's your next song that you liked?
With actually The Cross Once Was a Tree was the other one that I really liked. So we
Yeah,
hit mine.
we're going to hit on that in just a little bit later in
Yeah.
a new little segment we're going to introduce. But uh, that was a Christmas song that was on there. There was also, was it called The Reason for the Season, or maybe it's just called The Reason by Vic Lucas, I think. Let me see here.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
The
The
Reason by
Reason.
Vic Lucas. Man, I really like that. I really like that dude. The songs he's been putting out. And I found out he's from Africa. And that style of music that he's doing, I thought it had like a Caribbean kind of feel to it or something, but it's actually called, I'm probably going to screw this up, like Afrobeat. So it's
Yeah,
like it's
that's
got
what
an
it is.
African influence to it and stuff. But that was really good. That was a couple of the Christmas songs. There were some other ones on there that are Christmas related. But the song that really got me going this week, you want to take a guess at it, Cameron? I'm just curious if you can think which song.
Well, is it a Christmas song?
No, it wasn't a Christmas song.
Oh, okay. I think it's Move. I was gonna say,
Yeah,
yeah. When I
dude.
put that on there, I actually like when I listened to it, I was like, Shawn's gonna love this song.
Oh my gosh, man. Absolutely love that song, dude. And just the chorus. Na 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 the way you move. Like, I'm not gonna try to sing it. I don't want to butcher. People need to go listen to that song. If you like R&B, smooth R&B, it's so good. And what was wild about it too is now that one I have listened to like multiple times. But my son, same thing with like running, he's singing with that. Like he liked that, he loved that song too. So he really likes that too. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but the reason that song is out as a single is it's actually because they've released like 4 or 5 of that song. There's like remixes. And the original remix on it's really cool. It's got a rap in it. I forget who was on there with them rapping, but go and listen to the remixes of those songs. I think their album, I went back and listened to their album. It's really good. It come out in September, I believe, of this year. And then, like I said, the reason they did the move is because they've had about 4 versions of it, and they're all really good. But I've actually looked them up. And so the name of the group is Lindy, Lind, right? But that's actually how you pronounce their last name. They're a Swedish band, and they're siblings. And the guy, I think it's a brother and 2, Dennis, Emmy, and Ella Lindy. And Dennis is like the producer, and I guess so. He's the one like making the beats and different things. But shout out to them. And Cameron, you probably saw them because one of their things is that last year they were on the Winter Jam tour for 38 different venues. So maybe they were at the one you were at. Yeah. I don't know if they were or not, but that's kind of they I think they've made around maybe 3 or 4 or 5 albums, something like that, but they've just now, this as far as the US goes, I guess they're kind of big, Europe on on that side, but on the United States side they just kind of like within 2023, 2024 and stuff, kind of seeing that upward momentum, so the whole album was great, but you got to go and listen to it if you like R&B and stuff. Super smooth vocals. Really enjoyed her song. The chorus is really catchy. And it's just talking about, it's like, God, I love the way you move, and it's like I'm going to follow you wherever you want me to go, and just that was my song of the week, dude. Really enjoyed it.
I liked it. I thought it was real catchy. I knew that you would like it though. That was my
it's right up my alley.
Like, you would definitely like that. Before you get off the, I don't know which one on the Christmas music, but I know you mentioned Christmas music before. Chelsea, I didn't mention this before, but Chelsea isn't on here tonight. She's feeling under the weather. Really, the whole house has kind of been hit with a little bit of sickness here recently. Kind of that and some other things, just kind of as far as the episode dropping, it's been a little bit later this week than normal. I didn't think to mention that earlier for the listeners, but I wanted to say her song that she liked a lot on this that she didn't get to talk about tonight was a Christmas song, and it was called Greatest Gift. And I can't remember the artist off the top of my head. It might be on that list.
That
y'all have?
That was James Bakian. Yeah,
Bakian.
James
Bakian.
Bakin.
Yeah. So and it is a beautiful song. I don't want to put words in her mouth for the way it touched her, but she really liked it, and she thought sound-wise, she's like, it sounds like Michael Bublé, or however you say his name. She said it's got some of that feel to it. But of course, again, it centers around the fact that, the greatest gift was our Savior coming on Christmas, being born. But, she may even backtrack a little bit and talk about it. But that was a song that she really likes. So I just wanted to shout it out.
Mariah, do you have like maybe one more before we transition to our new segment?
Yes. I really like the song Be Glad. So the main singer in this one was Naomi Rain. It also had Suede Silva and Toda Music. What I thought was really cool about this song, which in the beginning, it starts out in another language, which Shawn let me know is
I think
Portuguese.
it's Portuguese.
Yeah. It starts out in Portuguese, but it's like the Portuguese version of the song by Maverick City Music, Be Glad. So it was really cool, I thought, to see that rendition in another language. And honestly, like seeing as how I knew the song, it felt like just as powerful when I heard it. I was like, this is so cool just to see and feel the same exact thing, Of course, had I heard that first, I would have had no idea what it said if I didn't already know the song "Be Glad." But I thought that was a super cool song.
I love how you put it. Like, it was super powerful because when I started hearing it, like I loved the music and I didn't understand the words at all, but I could tell, like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is
Yeah.
good. And then it gets to the
Yeah.
English part where Naomi can sing. And I mean, she could sing the phone book. And it was like,
Yeah.
whoo, and she starts singing the actual Be Glad. And I'd never heard Be Glad from Maverick City before. So I didn't know it's a really good song. So,
It is a good song.
and so if you speak or you fluent in Portuguese too, you'll enjoy it from that standpoint. But I think you'll enjoy it just as much, even if you don't, because I did. It's a beautiful song. It's really cool to see her do that. So
Naomi, like, and I've said it before, I think on the podcast, but top 2 vocalists, like female wise, I think, and I mean not just Christian music, but maybe like that I've ever heard. Naomi Rain's her last name, right? Naomi Rain and Tori Kelly, that's going on tour with Forrest Frank. Those 2 are like top female vocalists, like for me, that I've heard, or among the 2. I'm sure there might be some others up there, but vocally they just blow me away every time they have a song. So yeah, it's a beautiful song. Shawn, before you go into our surprise at the end and stuff, our new segment, I did want to mention one other song that I had wrote down.
yeah, sure. Sorry. Yep.
So, and I hope I'm saying this right, Mike Pitsy.
Pitsy. Yes. How did you forget about Mike? Oh yeah.
Yeah, yep. And I apologize if I am saying it wrong. I kept Mike, if you listen to this, I kept saying Mike Pizza all the time. I was like, I can't, for whatever reason, the Pizz kept redirecting my mind to pizza. And maybe that says a lot about me. I don't know. But, there's different songs on this, right, that I think hit some of us. For me, it was Fairer Than 10,000. I really like that song. I thought it was just very well done. I want to say, like, the piano, like the music with it was just so beautiful. I mean, the words were too, but it was something, man. I just kept listening to it, and it just kept going through my head. And it's such a great, powerful worship song. And he had an EP come out, and it's called Along the Narrow Way, Volume 2. And I know we have spoke with Mike, and I don't know when in the future, but hopefully in the near future, we might be able to have him on and maybe share his story behind the EP and maybe his music career this far. I think he is a newer artist, but from what I've heard of the whole EP, it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at the EP, and I don't know if the way the songs were on the list is the way they are on the EP, but that Fairer Than 10,000 rolls, it seems like it rolls into. If it doesn't, the beautiful transition, Don't Forget I think is the other song that he has, or that you have on the list from him. And I really like that one of his too. So I thought that one was really good. I'm assuming those are his songs that he wrote. It's unique to see, different artists and how they write, and the style of their songs, and how it comes across. And it just shows you how wonderful of a God we serve. that you've got all these different irons in the fire, per se, and they're all pointing and glorifying, God. You can go from somebody like Lindy that's doing the R&B stuff, and you go to somebody that, like Mike Pitsy here, that's doing the deep kind of, like, I'm calling out to you, God, and so it's good stuff this week, man. You put together, I mean, I know you didn't put the songs out, but you curated a good playlist of new songs. I'm sure there's probably other ones we miss from week to week, but Cameron does a good job of putting these all together for us.
We have a few different outlets that we can go and see some of the new stuff that's out. And Mike, we found him on Instagram. Like, we have a few different artists, and we've been really blessed with the people that have reached out and spoke to us, shared their music with us, have things going down the line that maybe have them on here to talk about it. Mike is one in particular that you talked about his songwriting. I feel like he's someone that, like, he wears his heart in his sleeve, at least on his songs, right? Like, you can just tell that those are straight from his heart. And it's been a real blessing to have, like, the socials in a way that we've been able to connect to a few of these people. And like you said, find these artists that maybe we ain't heard of before, and see the way that they're glorifying God. Like, it's just, it's beautiful. It's like a community that we're just opening the door up to, that we just didn't, that's been there, but we just hadn't saw in this way, I guess. It's great.
All right. So we've got a new segment that we're going to launch this week. We, we're always wanting to take the podcast higher for the Lord, and looking to do new things with it and always evolve it. So instead of doing the hidden gem this week, we're not doing away with the hidden gem, but we're going to introduce a new segment, and it's an artist spotlight segment. We're going to actually have the artist kind of introduce the song and tell us some about it. It's a song that we really enjoyed this week, and we kind of mentioned it earlier. Mariah had talked about it, but it says by Jimmy Clifton, and it's called "The Cross Was a Tree," and it's a great Christmas song. I think everyone will thoroughly enjoy it, and we've been privileged to we don't have Jimmy in person, but he sent us a message telling us the backstory behind that song. And so we just want to give time for him to be able to tell you about that song and how it came to fruition. And moving forward, as we have other opportunities from time to time, we will do this artist spotlight segment. So here's Jimmy Clifton telling you the story about "The Cross Was a Tree."
Guess that y'all want to hear about how I wrote in the story behind "The Cross Once Was a Tree." I'm pulling up a page right now. Let me see if I can see. But I guess you can share. There it is. Found it. I wrote this document several years ago and printed it out when we had a home church meeting, and just kind of thought on, like, it doesn't actually mean anything too deep. It just comparison. You can compare these things with one another, as that being the cross and then a Christmas tree, and essentially, what it is really in the document, in the page I wrote, which I have in front of me right now, that I wrote several years ago, was a Christmas tree can kind of represent the cross Jesus bore. Essentially, like, the cross was a tree, right? So the cross was a tree, and the gifts under the tree could represent Christ, and Christ being the gift of salvation to us and his blood for us, that he gave his only son, that God gave his only son, Christ, as a perfect gift. And every good and perfect gift is from above, which speaks of that in James. But essentially, so the tree is the cross, and then the gift is Christ, and then the ornaments on the tree are representing, red and silver ornaments. You have, red blood, the Christ's blood that was shed for you and I, and then the nails that represent silver are the nails that nailed cross to the tree. And I'm going to read this verse right here. It says, Isaiah 53, it's, "Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities, the chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes we are healed." So he bled for us, and he was nailed. And it talks about they pierced his hands and his feet in Psalms 22, I believe, as well. So the lights on the Christmas tree could represent Jesus as being a light to the Israelites, but also a light to the Gentiles, like it talks in Luke 2, but also in the Old Testament, where I think it's somewhere in Isaiah 40 or something, I can't remember, but he's a light to lighten the Gentiles. Christ came as a light, so he's the light that lights the tree, and then the star on top this is kind of maybe far-fetched, but is the bright and morning star, as Christ is called in Revelation 22:14. So that's the light on top of the tree, or that star on top of the tree, could represent Christ being the star, the bright and morning star. So anyway, I wrote that several years ago, and then recently, about 2 weeks ago, I had just a spur of the moment idea. I'm going to write another Christmas song, and cranked it out really quick. I did wrote half of it in a few minutes. I had 30 minutes while my wife was making dinner or something. And then the next Monday, I think it was a Friday, I finished it up and recorded it and just got it out really quick. So that's essentially the story behind the song. Nothing too crazy, just kind of a fun song, kind of could represent at least. It's not, I wouldn't say it does represent, because then you can get into theological error, I guess. But anyway, I appreciate you guys showing interest. Thanks, Justin, for connecting us.
So, all right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. We had Jimmy's video. That's his official video for the song. So I hope you enjoyed that. Now jump over to YouTube and actually, listen to it with the song behind it, because it's such an amazing song. And just to hear the backstory behind it, even though it's not like a great epiphany, like this revelation knowledge that came to him, still beautiful, beautiful song. Just to kind of draw the correlation, and then for God to be able to just inspire some lyrics inside of you like that, and to be able to write such a wonderful Christmas song. And I really liked the way that he put it all together with the O's in the background. He's got the background vocals and stuff. And there's one part, let me turn it over to Cameron and Ryan. And there's one part I want to talk about, though, that was a little frustrating to me. But then I think Jimmy might have did that purposefully, and then it paid off. I'll talk about that in a minute. But what did you guys think about the song?
So I loved the song. I love the sound of the song. Really appreciate Jimmy for recording that for us.
Yes.
Not the song, of course, but the voice message. So this song really took me back to a Christmas play that I did when I was a kid. So we actually talked about the Christmas tree, and we talked about, almost like a hanging of the greens sort of thing, like what everything represented. And I remember that I played the part of the tree that was eventually cut down and turned into the cross.
Awesome.
So I don't know, for me, like I was kind of thinking about everything that I learned in that play, and kind of like, from the moment that seed or that acorn or whatever it was fell into the ground, from the moment that it was created, God knew. To me, it kind of was a big epiphany. Like God knew from that very moment that, that tree was going to be the cross that his son was hung on. So, I mean, God has just orchestrated this all beautifully for us. So I thought it was really beautiful. Kind of makes me a little emotional, honestly.
Yeah,
that's great. Hearing you tell that part of it, that's awesome. Yeah, love that.
Yeah. But Jimmy, I don't think he's giving himself enough credit, because he said it wasn't like a big epiphany, and maybe it's not like this huge new knowledge or something like that, but I think it's a beautiful and a very touching song.
I never would have thought of it in that way. With the seed, with the tree, and God knowing that tree was going to be the one that hung his son on it. That tree was going to be what saved all of us. Well, help facilitate, Jesus.
Facilitate, yeah.
Yeah. And so it's thinking of it like that. That's wild to really take it in with that perspective. And I wouldn't have thought of that. I do like, and I know that this song came out last week, but it's Forrest Frank's Christmas. And we talk about it a little bit in something we like, coming out next week. But in the same way, it kind of gives you this illustration. And to me, what I like about it is that when we hang the tree now, it's not that I'm just hanging lights on the tree, that I'm just hanging these ornaments on the tree. Like, because of like that song that Forrest Frank put out, because of this song that Jimmy put out, like I'm putting these up, and it's kind of like in my brain, like a little bit of a callback to that, right? It's like, think like for the Forrest Frank song, it's like, hanging these lights on the tree, like, how we hung the light of the world on the cross. And the way Jimmy talks about like the ornaments, his nails, and it's like, imagery, but it's like, it's like small seeds in a way that are being planted in your brain in a good way, that when you look at this tree, you can see Christ. Like you can reflect on that, right? And I think anything, I mean, it doesn't just have to be Christmas, but anything that you can tie all that together into where you don't get lost and get complacent in life, and we can have those moments to where we can stop and think about him. It's a good thing, and I think that song does that for me. Just like I said, like the song with Forrest Frank did, it just does a great job at painting that and drawing the similarities and what happened, and the imagery of the tree. But I do want to say thank you to Jimmy for doing that, for recording that for us. A big shout out for him, or to him. A shout out to Justin, our good buddy, that our middleman there. Not to say middleman as if it's something like, a bad thing. Justin, love your brother. He's always been great to help us out with anything. And
Yeah.
He
got us the hookup.
He got us a hookup for it, and not only that, I kid around with him all the time that we're gonna like drag him on this podcast and become a member. We just keep dragging him into it gradually, here and there. It's like, hey, come and do this. Hey, come help us out with this, So I appreciate Justin for that help, and like I say again, thank you, Jimmy, for doing that.
He's an unofficial member of the podcast, right? So that we pull him in. I was just gonna say about the song. I just loved it for the same reason you guys loved it. But one thing that most of the time, my Christmas songs, I want it to feel Christmassy from start to finish. Now this song, and it's really cool about it too, is like you can listen to it anytime. Like it's got such a great message behind it. But when it starts off, you don't really feel like you're listening to a Christmas song. But as it goes in there, he hits you with this jingle bell, right? And it's like, and he just hits you with it every so often. And that frustrated me at first, because when it first hit, I was like, yes. And then I was expecting it to be right after, like on a certain count, and he didn't do it. And then it come in again. And I was like, what? I was like, man, he's missing this opportunity to be like, duh, duh, I was like, you could have really made it Christmassy with these jingle bells, But then all of a sudden, I think maybe it's like the second, third part of the chorus or something, like, it kicks in, and then he's got the jingle bells going at the end. It's like, it's so perfect. And so like, it was so funny. Like he rage baited me, he got me worked up there for a minute. But it was like just every once in a while throwing that jingle bell in there. And I was like, oh, I want the jingle bell. You remember that old Saturday Night Live clip? It's like, we need more cowbell. I was like,
yeah, I remember that.
Where's the jingle bell? And then he hits you with it. But the song is great. The message behind it's amazing. Just a great job overall. I know you've already thanked him, Cameron and stuff, but big thanks again for him doing that and for Justin, reaching out to him to see if he would do that for us. And so super blessed, honored that Jimmy gets to be the first artist spotlight on the show. It's a great song. Guys, go and listen to it. Listen to it as many times as you can on Spotify, because that's the only way that these artists, are able to really get the support that they need and the income and stuff from it. So great Christmas song, great song in general. You don't need it just on your Christmas playlist. You can play it any time of the year. Great message, helps you keep in mind, what Jesus really did for us, and what the reason is for the season. So thanks Jimmy for doing that for us. And thank you guys for listening again, for tuning in again to this podcast, whether you're listening or watching. We're so appreciative. And as Cameron always says, we want you to follow us, like, and share it, get the word out. And we're going to keep trying to bring this stuff to you. We've got a great episode coming this weekend, right? I think we're going to try to get it out before Christmas.
Before we get off here, just to also kind of let you guys know, like this episode got out a little bit late, just some sickness and stuff like that. So this is from this past week. However, so this is actually going to be the conclusion, at least of like the music and stuff, for season 1. Now we do have something special that's coming down next week, not new music wise, but our plan is what we're going to do. We're going to drop that special next week. Going into January, we'll start season 2. Whatever, if it's like 2 weeks that we take that break to kind of get things going, we'll recap all that in that first episode. Kind of like a look back at, let's do it like this. I'll first say what to look forward to in season 2, and I'll make a brief mention of a look back at season 1. So just to look into season 2, something you guys can look forward to. We have 4 that I know of, I think 4 artist interviews already lined up, with potentially maybe one more, maybe. We have some local people. I guess I can say we have a few pastors locally that want to come on. We have a few just people that are wanting to come and share their story, their testimony. We have that lined up. We, of course, have more of the music stuff that we've been doing, guys. We have more of that coming down the pipe. So, this is concluding season 1, and we started this about 3 months ago, I think. So we hope that we can just, in this brief recess, that we can regroup, take our rest that God has instructed us to do, I think, and be ready to kind of kick into season 2. In this moment, before I get into talking about season 1, a brief reflection, anything you guys want to say about going into the second season?
Nope, just excited for what God's got in store for us moving forward. And thank you for the opportunity for us being able to get on here. I think we all have a special place in our heart for music and music that uplifts God at that. So it's an honor. It's a pleasure to be able to do it with you, bro.
Well, I know that Rusty and I both are just we feel so privileged to be a part of this team with all of you guys. And I'm so excited to see what's coming down the hatch for the Third Hour podcast. I think that God can do some good things, wonderful things, and we're going to give him the glory the whole time.
Amen.
That's perfectly said, and it's already been a blessing for all of us being able to go on here and talk about these songs each week, to see the impact that it's making on some people that have shared just some of the songs that they've been led to through this podcast, and then how that helps facilitate them into worship, and that's part of it, right? That's one of the main things, is we want to just kind of help get these songs out there, not only to help the artists, but also to give you something else, another song to get in God's presence with. And as a brief reflection, to look back, this thing started out, man, it was something, and I think in different ways for all of us, that God kind of put on our heart. And a podcast is something, people have millions of podcasts out there, right? I'm not sure that there's millions of Christian music podcasts, and then the ones that are out there cover a lot of the bigger name artists, and nothing wrong with that. We cover those guys too. They have some great songs, but we wanted to do more than just that. We also wanted to just, if it is an artist, if it's an artist that has 50 followers, if it's a song that we think that spoke to us, we'll share it just as much as we'll share a song by a bigger artist. And I don't know how many podcasts are out there doing that. And so it's definitely been something that's been put on our heart that God's working with us through. And I hope not only that these songs that we talk about help our listeners get into that place of worship, but I also hope that the platform that we have can help some of these newer artists get out there. Like, maybe we can help be that to get out into the algorithm some for people, right? I mean, there's artists that we didn't know about that we like listening to now, and we know just doing the research and stuff. So I'm sure, like, some of our listeners that listen week to week, they also are going to have like the same responses, like, whoa, I didn't know who that was before, but now I do. And I really like his songs. I really like the messaging through it, his or her songs. So it's just been great.
Not to put this, just hit me. So this is coming out of left field for me too. Okay.
You're good.
If y'all want to grab y'all's phone and look real quick, I was just thinking, you mentioned like there's some artists and stuff that's in our playlist now that may not have been beforehand. So since we're recapping season 1, are there any ones that jump out at you that, like, it's like now they're part of the ones that you listen to a lot, So what, you got anybody in mind?
If she's looking, I have mine up there set as a camera, but I'll just kind of, off the top of my head, I think there's some songs, Tima Tope, he's been pumping them out. He had a new song this week. Just made that, he's been releasing songs. He's one of them that I really like. A song that, and this is not necessarily a new artist, but a song that's really been playing a lot this week for me, and it was one of our episodes. I think it might have been the second episode we released, maybe, but it was God You're Faithful, Patrick Mayberry and Katie Tewalt, I think. And that one's been really like on my heart here recently. And that was another song that we talked about through this podcast, and we covered it when it dropped. I'm trying to think of, just off the top of my head, some artists. A lot of these new artists that we've mentioned, we've gotten to speak with. Alex Jude, the Mike that we talked about earlier, He Who Reigns, listened to one of his songs a few weeks ago. I would have never heard of some of these people if it hadn't been for these doors that's opened up. Kyle Thomas, Tyler Corbin.
Yep.
Tyler Corbin might be the one out of all of them. Really stuck with me as far as like he's going to be in my daily rotation. Yeah, not to say there's probably some others too. I'm just, off the top of my head, just trying to remember, but those are definitely a few that pop out.
Those are all ones And then after this week, Lindy, I really like them. And then Edgar Sandoval was the other one that really jumped out to me because he's had several songs on our list, and I've loved every one of them that he did. But again, Alan Tyler, like everyone that you mentioned is it's great. Wouldn't have really known about him if it hadn't been. And I want to highlight what you said, like, we want to make people aware of some of the maybe they're not all independent artists, but some of the artists that are up and coming and, just they're not your Matthew West, they're not your New Song, they're not your Holvies, your Lecrae's, it's these Forrest Franklin's, right? It's these ones that are just, they've got a song in their heart from the Lord, and, you know, it's been a pleasure to be able to be a part of this and give them an opportunity. Ryan, what's some of the ones that you've that's kind of now like, oh man, yeah, I can't believe I didn't know about them before, but
Yeah. Well, I'm terrible with names, so this is a really bad question to ask me. Tyler Corbin definitely on top of that list, and then all of the ones that Cameron said are really ones that have stuck with me too. But I think it's a group, if I'm not mistaken. I remember we talked about them. Nona is the name of it, Nonah. And I remember that they had a song that I loved, and it was just Jesus, I love you. And I really think I listened to that whole album like multiple times after we heard that song. So I really like them too. But actually, even us with the podcast, even like I hadn't really listened to like Matthew West say in a long time, but like he's kind of popping off again, really.
yeah,
It's been releasing some stuff.
Yeah.
There's a side of this too, not to sell short the music side, right? I mean, we've talked about it, and it's a big part of this podcast, if not the main function, but it's not the only function. Like, we also have the conversations of faith that we've had, and we've had some great conversations with just us on here. We talked about some daily practices of intentional faith. Shawn, the first episode that we introduced the hidden gem, we talked about God's faithfulness and God's love for us as we previewed Love Song by Third Day. There's been a lot of great conversations that we've had amongst each other, but not only that, with our guest. And we've had some guests on, and we have, like I said, more in the future, but just to briefly highlight those, we had Fred Minko, I think was our first guest outside of, our members. Guys, check him out if you haven't already. He's a part of a huge local for us, but really it's getting pretty big, but it's more like West Virginia combined athletics, high school athletics in the area, and they do everything. They do basketball, football, male, female, it don't matter. Like, they cover it, and it's called Fresh Off the Clock. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's called Fresh Off the Clock. Go check them out. But Fred took time to come on and share some of his story, just God's faithfulness in his life. It's just a beautiful story. We listened to that. We also had time with our good friend Coy Witt, a professional boxer. Definitely another opportunity for people to just go check out what Coy's doing with his One More Boxing Club ministry, how he's helping to use boxing as a tool to teach these kids, and I say kids, but also young adults, like, just about Jesus, right? Like, he's being able to introduce the gospel to them. And we also found out a lot about, his past, but also about his boxing career. So if you're a boxing fan, it's really cool to hear that. Great time. And I know Mariah had just a special moment with her parents, and we were able to share in that by listening to their story. And Mariah and Chelsea did such an amazing job with that. So there's several guest episodes we've already done, but we have more coming down, like I said, down the line. And we didn't just want to be music. We also wanted people to be able to share their story and be impacted by that. But we also didn't just want to be a podcast that just did that and not do the music. So it seems like there's a lot going on, but I think it all speaks to different people, because I've had people come up and be like, man, that episode with like Coy really impacted me. That episode with your parents, Mariah, like that, people have talked about that. Then, of course, we have people come up and talk about the music stuff. It's just been, seeing what God's been doing through it has been great, and I'm just grateful. It's been wild. I guess that kind of recaps all of season 1, don't it? In a way,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a bittersweet moment for a second, as a brief recess. But I do want to say, and I know you already mentioned it, Shawn, about all of us coming together, but I do want to say thank you to you guys. God, I feel like really put it on your all's heart to jump on this with us. Me and Chelsea had started it out, and not that, I love that too when me and her to have a conversation, and I love those episodes. But I'd said from the beginning, I was like, we need a few people in on this. I think just to have different perspectives, but different experiences, different tastes in music. Like I said, everything that you guys bring to the table really makes this work. And I feel like it's definitely a God thing. I can speak for Rusty and Mariah. We've known each other for a while. Mariah, you've known Chelsea since you were younger. I've known Rusty since I was younger. And I've talked about how God has worked our friendship into this. It's great. And then Shawn, that day you said, I got to talk to you after church. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, well, what's he going to have me doing? But I also told you, I felt like God was putting it on my mind. I was like, I think he might want to help with the podcast. And then you was like, giving me your elevator pitch. And I'm like,
I said, I'm
Shawn,
going to give you my
it's
elevator
okay.
pitch for why I need to be
Yeah.
involved. I was like,
listen,
Yeah.
I want you. Like, I'm really glad that all worked out. And we're all happen to be at the same church, and we didn't do the podcast first, then come to the church. No, like we're at the church, and God has just worked these relationships, and
it's
God's
like he
doing
was at
things in
work
all our life.
beforehand, Cameron. It was like
Exactly, beforehand, yes. Interesting. We'll have to share that story
yeah, I was going to
too
say a little
soon.
phrase we'll have to share later on.
Yeah. But it is cool, and God's working in all of our lives individually too. Like there's things going on that He's doing, but it's cool to see that one on the surface and what's going on with this. So I just want to say thank you guys. A long-winded way to say thank you.
Great, man. It's been a pleasure. I'm excited, and like Cameron said, this is technically maybe the end, of season 1, but it's not the last one of the year. So just a few days, we got a special coming for you all. So we want y'all to definitely stay tuned for that. And then we'll see you guys at the turn of the year. So love you all. Thank you guys for watching.
Thanks, guys.